down UFC Fight Night 133, Dos Santos versus Ivanov in Boise, Idaho. So obviously coming off International Fight Week, those two cards we had this past weekend. I mean, two amazing nights of fights, man. DC becoming the second champ, solidifying himself as the number one pound for pound guy in the UFC right now, and possibly entering his name in the discussion of the greatest of all time. I still rank GSP number one greatest of all time. DC, I'd probably put number two, to be honest with you. So yeah, historical weekend, action-packed weekend. Unfortunately, I did have a losing night betting-wise. I had the big underdog play. I had Brad Tavares lost, and then the big favorite I had, Michael Chiesa, 6.2 units. He dropped the ball, man. He looked good in that first round, but Pettis looked sharp, man. He looked like the Pettis of old. He must have gotten some shit together. So props to Pettis for sure. We're looking to get back on track here, man. It was a winning night in DraftKings. Just the betting didn't go well for me. And I had some wins on the betting side as well, just to make that loss not as bad as it could have been. Like I had Rafael Sunsel absolutely dominated Rob Font, just like I said, just levels above the guy. And then Violent Bob Ross. Luis Pena absolutely smoked Richie Smolin, submitted the leg lock guy. So, yeah, bright future for that guy, Bob Ross. He's one of my favorite prospects in the UFC right now for sure. But, man, this card, UFC Boise, easily one of the best cards for betting in a long time, man. I mean, just looking through, I just see opportunity after opportunity. I wish it was a smart move to go out there and bet every single fight, because I see a lot of live dogs on this card for sure. A lot of dog shots. I'm going to be picking a lot of dogs on this card. So yeah, 13 fights. I have 5 plays, guys, but that's going to be it. I told myself I wouldn't go more than 5. So yeah, I'm hoping to, and most of these plays are, I didn't play anything worse than minus 175. It's all minus 175 or better 5 plays. So, yeah, excited to talk about this card, man. So starting off with the first fight of the night, it does happen to be my first play of the night. And it happens to be a fight I broke down before, a fight that I had a bet on in the past. We got Jody Escobar minus 150 taking on Jessica Aguilar plus 130. It's unfortunate that I didn't get the plus 140 I had last time on Jody Escobar. But somehow I guess the odds maker were smoking a little something when they decided to open up this line plus 115 for Jody Escobar. Guys, when the fight got canceled last time, Jody Escobar was sitting at around like a minus 150, 160 favorite. I don't know why they opened it up at plus 115. I guess they're just hoping for some action, but man, that wasn't a smart idea. So I didn't catch the opener on that, but I did manage to catch the minus 114. So I got 3 units on Jody Escobar minus 114. She's minus 150 now. I mean, I broke this fight down before, but I'll quickly go through it again. Jessica Aguilar is part of that old era of MMA, the Angela Maganyas of the world. I honestly rate her around that level. I don't see Jessica Aguilar winning a UFC fight. She's not going to win a UFC fight. Jody Escobar, although she's no world beater by any means, I definitely don't see her ever sniffing the top 5. She is a solid, well-rounded fighter in her prime, and that's more than enough I need to fade against Jessica Aguilar. Jody Escobar is going to mix up the strikes. She's going to defend the takedowns. Don't be surprised when she lands some takedowns of her own. So I got Jody Escobar via a dominant 30-27 decision here. So yeah, first play of the night, 3 units, and she's priced pretty well on DraftKings as well. I know the chance of her getting a finish is slim, but I think she can rack up a decent amount of points. Maybe I think she'll be able to pay off her price of 80. I think she gets around 80 points in a lopsided decision here. Official pick is going to be 30-27. But moving on to the next fight, man, this is an interesting one. We got Elias Garcia minus 140 taking on Mark De La Rosa plus 120. This is one of these live dogs I'm talking about, man. I'm going to be picking Mark De La Rosa here. No bet, though. I feel like there's way better spots on the card, and these, I don't like fading these UFC debut guys. Like, I don't want to fade a guy making his debut just because you really never know what you're going to get unless he's fighting someone legit. But I just don't have confidence in Mark De La Rosa. Although I am going to pick him. I wasn't really impressed with Elias Garcia on the old tape study there. I went back, watched all his fights. The dude gets dropped and taken down every single fight. Now he finds a way to win. He's tough as fuck. He has amazing cardio. And maybe that's enough to get the job done over Mark De La Rosa here. I think there's a good chance Elias Garcia, he's probably the better striker. He probably stuffs. He probably outstrikes, and he'll have the cardio advantage, so he'll probably keep outstriking. So I don't know. It's a coin flip for me. I think it's all about if Mark De La Rosa can make it his fight, get it down to the ground. Because Elias Garcia, he's got a submission or two, but I don't know. I definitely feel like there's an advantage for De La Rosa on the mat here. Go for takedowns. Try to tap this guy out because you're probably not winning a striking battle. But I like his chances to do that, man. Elias gets taken down every fight, and this is definitely the best fighter Elias Garcia has fought thus far. Mark De La Rosa, he actually came in short notice debut, paid his dues, took his first L, whatever you want to call it, against Tim Elliott, one of the top. Tim Elliott, you can argue, is a top 10 guy in 2 weight classes, man. Guy's legit. Tapped him. Other than that, De La Rosa looked, pretty good against everyone else. So I don't know. I think De La Rosa could pull it out here. So I'll go with him. Probably talked about this fight too much. I'll say De La Rosa squeaks out a 29-28 decision. So moving on to the next fight, man, this is another live dog that I'm picking, but I'm not going to be betting. So we got Liz Carmouche, -135, taking on Jennifer Maia, +115. Just striker versus grappler matchup, man. What I like about Jennifer Maia, she has gone 25 minutes in her last 3 fights, all Invicta title fights, against decent competition too, man. So her last fight was against, one of the best female prospects outside the UFC, and Agnieszka Niedźwiedź, that Polish chick. She handed Agnieszka her first MMA loss, unanimous decision. Before that, split decision over Roxanne Modafferi, 25 minutes there. Look at look what Roxanne Modafferi did this past weekend, man. Roxanne Modafferi's no slouch. Definitely this new improved version of her is not anyway. And then before that, won a 25-minute unanimous decision over Vanessa Porto, Vanessa Porto is no slouch, man. She's probably one of the best female fighters outside of the UFC. Vanessa Porto has wins over Roxanne Modafferi, a lot of good fighters. So, Jennifer Maia is picking up these good wins. She's a good striker. It's just whether or not she can stuff those takedowns. And I guess based on Carmouche being the fave, most people think she won't stuff. I think she will stuff. I got Jennifer Maia. I got the younger fighter in her prime. Liz Carmouche is getting up there. She's been around. And Liz Carmouche has actually been in some wars, man. So, I don't know. I just want to go with the fresher, younger fighter here. I think she'll be able to make it her fight, stuff those takedowns, and outstrike Liz Carmouche. I'm going to go with Jennifer Maia, 30-27 decision. So moving on to this next one, man. This is an interesting fight. We got Kurt Holobaugh, -190, taking on Raoni Barcelos. Probably saying that wrong, but he's +165. I got Holobaugh here. I didn't look too much into this fight, but man, Holobaugh came into the UFC, a young kid, took 2 L's, and then put together a nice little run outside the UFC here. He had that first-round finish in the Contender Series. I don't know why. I can't remember who it was against. I feel like it was somebody not that bad either. Oh, man, why can I not remember who he iced on Contender Series? Matt Bessette, the dude who just fought this past weekend. Yeah, iced Matt Bessette. Kurt Holobaugh is looking better than ever for sure. Raoni Barcelos, he 11-1 record. The dude's a winner for sure. But is that 145, right? Okay. Yeah, I'm just not impressed with Barcelos a whole lot. At first I thought he had a real nice sub game until I saw him get submitted in RFA. That's actually his one lone loss. He got choked out there by a guy named Mark Dickman. But he bounced back, won 4 straight, 2 of those being finishes. He's got in 2 decision wins over 25 minutes. The dude has the fight experience at this point. So, this is a pretty good fight. It's kind of hard to read, but I definitely think Holobaugh is rightfully favored. He probably goes out there and knocks out Barcelos. But we'll see. It's a tough fight to call. It's kind of hard to read. I'm looking forward to it though. That's a nice fight. That's definitely a sleeper for fight of the night. So I'm gonna go with Holloway. I'll say second round TKO. So moving on to this next one, man. This is funny. I've seen a lot of people betting on this fight, man. So we got I don't know if it's Saeed or Said Nurmagomedov minus 160 taking on Justin Scoggins plus 140. Basically, man, I mean, we know the deal with Justin Scoggins at this point. He looks good and then he loses the fight. He blows it. He dives into a guillotine. He goes into people's strengths. He makes mistakes. I don't know what it is, man. He's just not all there. And you got to think, all right, eventually the guy's got to get it together. Well, people are saying that every fight, and he, I mean, he was a huge favorite against Sasaki because people thought he was going to get his shit together, but we can't trust the guy to get his shit together. So I think Nurmagomedov, who happens to be Khabib's cousin, by the way, I think he's probably going to get this one, man. I think he's rightfully favored. A little different from Khabib. He's actually more of a striker, but he does have some wrestling. Don't get that wrong. So, I mean, if Justin Scoggins decides not to dive into the guillotine, I think Nurmagomedov can take it into his own hands, take Scoggins down even, and submit him that way. So I definitely think Scoggins lacks a lot in the mat. It's not just that he makes dumb mistakes and dives into guillotines. I genuinely don't think he has very good jiu-jitsu. So if Nurmagomedov takes him down, he could hold him down, submit him, TKO him, or the dude's got real good striking. I mean, I think it's going to be tough to outstrike Justin Scoggins. Scoggins is one of the best pure strikers in the UFC, honestly. I mean, you see that performance he put on Ray Borg, but thing is, that's really the only time he beat somebody good looking like that. So, I mean, how can you trust the guy to do it again? But yeah, I mean, a winnable fight for Scoggins, but I don't think he gets it. I think Nurmagomedov is good enough on the feet to hang there, set up the takedowns. He's probably going to end up finishing Justin Scoggins. He's probably going to submit Justin Scoggins, man. So I'll say Saeed Nurmagomedov via second round guillotine. So moving on to this next one, man. Gigantic line movement. We got Alex Volkanovski minus 340 taking on Darren Elkins plus 280. This happens to be my one lone max bet of the card. I got 5 units on Alex Volkanovski. I managed to catch that real early line there. I got 2.5 units on him at minus 154, and then 2.5 units on him at minus 160. So 5 units combined odds at minus 157 for Volkanovski. Very, very happy I got that line on him. Minus 350 in most books now. And yeah, that's probably about right. That's what he should be, about minus 350. So obviously Darren Elkins is he's a savage, man. He wins fights. He impresses with his heart and cardio. But I think the run might be up for him here, man. So I mean, I don't want to take anything from Darren Elkins away. I mean, the guy is very impressive. 24-5. That's a damn good record. 6-fight win streak in a very tough division at 34 years old. I mean, all the props to him, but he's not going to win this fight. So looking at this 6-fight win streak, we got Robert Whiteford, no longer in the UFC, kind of a joke. His best win, in my opinion, in the 6-fight win streak actually happens to be Chaz Skelly. Chaz Skelly was on a run at the time, and he dominated Chaz Skelly for the most part. Godofredo Pepe, kind of a joke, if we're being honest. And then the Mirsad Bektic fight, where Mirsad Bektic was on his way to a 30-25 decision and kind of gassed a little bit. Kind of has a little bit of a weak chin, and not only does he have a weak chin and he gasped, man, I mean, Bektic left himself open where most intelligent MMA fighters would have covered up at the point where he got caught. It was just first L time for Mirsad Bektic against a top 10 guy in Darren Elkins. But yeah, Darren Elkins, he took an ass beating in that fight, man. And then the next fight, split decision win over Dennis Bermudez. We know Dennis Bermudez. We'll talk about him later. He's a habitual loser. He drops a lot of fights against guys he should probably beat. This was a case. He dropped a fight against a guy he probably should have beat. And then Michael Johnson, he tapped out a quitter. And I know it's Michael Johnson, but Michael Johnson's 17-12, man. I know Michael Johnson has went out there and beat guys like Edson Barboza, but Michael Johnson 17-12, and that was Michael Johnson's first fight at a new weight class. Volkanovski, on the other hand, the dude is an absolute winner, 17-1. Dude has insanely strong wrestling. He's got power on the feet. Not just power on the feet, man. Dude's technical. He can box. I'm a huge fan of this guy, Volkanovski, and I think he's going to be able to do all the things that Mirsad Bektic basically did to Darren Elkins without gassing out, without leaving himself open. If anything, man, I think Volkanovski has a little more power than Bektic. So I think Volkanovski can go out here and shut down Elkins in the first round, knock him out in the first round. We'll see. I mean, not a lot of people picked him to finish Jeremy Kennedy. I know he was a minus 200 favorite there. A lot of people thought he would win, but I think the majority pick was a decision. He went out there and finished Jeremy Kennedy. Dude has serious power. He puts on a serious pace. I mean, he beat Shane Young. I mean, we saw how good Shane Young looked in his last fight. Shane Young puts on a serious pace. And Volkanovski just looks better every single fight, man. I know he made his debut at minus 150 or minus. He made his debut at 155 pounds. I'm so glad he came down to featherweight. That's definitely where he should be for sure. And yeah, I mean, his last two wins are impressive enough and against decent enough competition for me to have this kind of confidence. I know Shane Young and Jeremy Kennedy aren't Darren Elkins by any means, but Shane Young is a serious dude in my opinion, and I think he's going to win a lot of UFC fights. Jeremy Kennedy was 11-0 heading into that fight. So, I mean, he's not beating cans by any means. Alex Volkanovski is a proven dude, and he's going to come out here. He's going to out-wrestle the wrestler. He's going to outstrike Darren Elkins. He's going to put a beat down on him, probably finish him. But I'll give Elkins the benefit of the doubt and say he survives the beating. So I'll go with Alex Volkanovski, 30-26 decision. So 5 units on him at a combined odds of minus 157. So moving on to the next fight, man. What do we got? We got another bet. So we got Alejandro Perez, now minus 170, taking on Eddie Wineland plus 150. Put 3.5 units on Alejandro Perez, minus 175 to win 2 units. Alejandro Perez is another one of these guys who wins fights, man. I mean, I know he's 20-6, but he took a majority of those losses at the beginning of his career. Look at this guy's UFC record. So he had the one loss against Patrick Williams, but that was a weird fight. He came in 2-0 on Tough. Beat Jose Quinones, who was another serious dude from that season of The Ultimate Fighter. Took that first UFC loss against Patrick Williams. He got caught and guillotined. Shit happens. Patrick Williams is a scary guy in that first minute. Finished Scott Jorgensen. Finished Ian Entwistle. Beat Andre Sukumtov, beat a vet in Yuri Alcantara, and then finished Matthew Lopez, destroyed Matthew Lopez. Eddie Wineland, man, he's he's getting up there in age for sure. He's 34, but he's about 50 in fight years. Looking back at his last few fights, so he got knocked out by Johnny Eduardo. He lost a unanimous decision to Brian Caraway. He knocked out Frankie Saenz, who, keep in mind, is another older guy with a weak chin. And then he knocked out Takeya Mizugaki, who is another older guy with a weaker chin, you know. And then he did nothing against John Dodson. John Dodson took a unanimous decision off of him. Yeah, I think Alejandro Perez comes in here and outboxes the boxer. I think Alejandro Perez is much sharper at this point. He's got a lot more years to go. I mean, the dude's 28 in his prime. Been putting in work at AKA for years now, looks better every single fight. I mean, apart from him getting caught by a big punch, I don't see how Eddie Wineland wins this fight. I definitely don't see him outboxing Alejandro for 3 rounds. And I just see this being a puncher's chance for Eddie Wineland. So I like the spot a lot. Alejandro Perez, he's a winner, and he will continue to win. And Eddie Wineland is pretty close to the end here, so we'll see what happens. But I think Alejandro can actually go in here, knock him out, probably win a decision. But yeah, I'm high on Alejandro, man. I just think he's steps above Eddie at this point. Eddie's at the tail end. Alejandro's on the tail up. So let's get it, Alejandro. 3.5 units, man. So moving on to the next fight, we got a women's bout. We got Marion Renault -120 taking on Kat Zingano +100. This is just a big pass fight for me, and I think the odds being super close. Pick 'em on most books, actually. I think that's about right. So Marion Renault, she's 41 years old, but Kat Zingano is about 45 in fight years. Kat Zingano's taken a lot of damage. Kat Zingano, I don't know where her mind is at ever. Kat Zingano doesn't really fight a whole lot. I guess if you were going to go one way or another on this fight, I'd say if you got Marion Renault at plus money, that's nice. But I don't know. It just screams past to me a sloppy old woman fight. I'm not into it. So I'll say Marion Renault 29-28 split decision. But who the fuck knows, man? I'm really not into this fight at all. Moving on to the next one, man. We got Chad Money Mendez returning -155, taking on Miles Jury +135. I hit Jury here, man, so I put 2.5 units on him at +170 right on the opener. Then it crept up super high to, I want to say, like the +220, +230 range. Wish I would have waited for that, but is what it is. So I got 2.5 units on him at +170, and then I put another half unit on him at +210. Glad I did that. We're sitting here at +130, +135, most books right now. So yeah, a lot of money's coming in Miles Jury. And rightfully so, man. We don't know what kind of Chad Mendez we're gonna get here, man. Chad Mendez hasn't fought in, man, I want to say it's been 3 years now. Should probably have this information pulled up already, but yeah, we haven't seen Chad Mendez in a long time. He's coming off a USADA suspension. How much will this all factor in? The rust, the possibility of him not being on the juice anymore. How into this sport is he really right now? The fact that he just took 2 really close knockouts together. Got knocked out by Conor McGregor and then got knocked out by Frankie Edgar 5 months later. I mean, how much did being iced so closely, 2 times so closely together, how much is that going to affect him? I mean, I guess he's taken the 3 years off, but still, these things add up, man. He's mid-30s in a lower weight class. He's taking on a savage, and He's taking on a savage and Miles Jury here, man. Miles Jury 17-2. This dude is another winner, man. That's what I like about there's a theme in my bets. I'm betting a lot of these winners. I'm betting these 17-1 guys, these 17-2 guys, because that's who you want to have your money on, is these damn winners. And Miles Jury is a winner, man. He looked super impressive in his last fight against Rick Glenn. I like that Miles Jury took the time off of that Charles Oliveira fight. So the Charles Oliveira fight was his first fight to the new weight class, 145, and he got submitted by Dubronx, and Dubronx submits motherfuckers. So, I mean, it is what it is. He took the time off. He regrouped. He come out, smoked a jobber and Mike De La Torre on his return fight. Then they give him a real test in Rick Glenn in his second fight back, and absolutely dominates Rick Glenn from pillar to post. Just Rick Glenn had nothing for him, man. Rick Glenn's a serious striker, and Miles Jury, he put on a clinic on that guy. So I honestly, that's what I'm thinking happens here, man. Miles Jury's going to put on a clinic on the guy. Going to be dealing with ring rust. Going to be dealing with whatever lack of whatever he was taking before. He doesn't have that anymore. And if we're being honest, man, I kind of just think it's a bad matchup for Chad Mendez. I think on the feet, it's just not even close. He needs takedowns here for sure. And I think Miles Jury has the takedown defense to stuff Chad Mendez. And even if Chad Mendez comes out here, takes down Miles Jury for the first 6-7 minutes or so, Chad Mendez is a serious gas tank problem. So I could see Miles Jury taking over late, winning rounds 2 and 3, or even finishing them late. So, man, I like Miles Jury a lot, man. I think he's a gigantically live underdog, probably my fave underdog of this card. So, yeah, Miles Jury, I'm going to say he gets it done by 30-27 decision. I wouldn't be surprised by a finish, though. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Fury Jury. I do have 3 units on him to win about 5.3, I believe. So moving on to the next fight, man, this is a good one, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this. Where's the odds? Randy Brown minus 130 taking on Nico Price plus 110. I feel like the breakdown is pretty straightforward. It's going to be a striking based attack versus a wrestling based attack. Randy Brown clearly the better striker. I don't think it's really even close, honestly. Nico's got some power on the feet, but I don't think he's a good boxer by any means. And then on the mat, Randy Brown has shown some good offensive jiu-jitsu, but I mean, the guy isn't really that great at stuffing. The guy really isn't that great of getting off his back. And I think there's a possibility Nico Price comes in here, takes him down, holds him down, or even submits him. But I think the most likely thing happening here is Randy Brown's going to go out there and stuff, and he's going to go out there and beat Nico Price's ass on the feet, man. Like I said, he's the way better striker. He's going to use that reach to keep him far away. He's going to be able to time those takedown attempts and stuff them all. I actually really like Randy Brown here. I'm not going to bet him, though. Better spots. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Randy Brown. I think he comes down here in 30-27's Nico Price. Moving on to the next fight, man. We got Sage Northcutt. minus 130 taking on Zach Otto plus 110. Another dog. I'm going to go with Zach Otto here. I don't really ever want to pick Sage Northcutt in a UFC fight just based on the quit he's shown me, just based on the based on the decision making, based on a lot of things. I mean, Sage Northcutt has all the gifts, but the dude is 22 years old and he's being trained by his dad in a basement. But I don't know. I actually don't even really know where Sage Northcutt trained for this fight. I'm not betting it. I'm not all that interested in it just because Zach Otto, of course, I think he's live in this fight. I mean, I think anybody's live against Sage. Zach Otto isn't a guy I want to trust, man. I mean, I didn't even bet Zach Otto against Mike Pyle. Obviously, we all should have bet Zach Otto against Mike Pyle. That was domination. But this is a little bit different. Sage Northcutt actually has a chin. Sage Northcutt isn't 45 years old. And you always got to expect improvements from Sage Northcutt. But the thing with Zach Otto is he does have power. He just doesn't really know how to use it, man. I mean, he has power. I mean, we saw it last fight. It's there for sure. I mean, look at the fucking arms on the dude, but he just doesn't really know how to use it all that well because he's not that good of a striker. I would actually, I mean, if I was Zach Otto's coach, I'd be telling him to shoot for takedowns all day here because Sage can't really stuff him. Look at that Cody Pfister fight. I know that was a while ago, but wow. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Zach Otto here, actually. I think he has more paths to victory, but I think this is another huge pass, just like the Zingano-Renault fight. So moving on to the next one, man, I think this is the co-main event. I didn't even realize this is the co-main event till now. We got Dennis the Menace Bermudez minus 245 taking on Rick the Gladiator Glenn plus 205. I mentioned Dennis Bermudez earlier. Basically, the guy is a habitual loser. He loses fights against guys he shouldn't lose to. And that's a huge possibility here, man. So Dennis Bermudez is definitely better in the wrestling game. Then that's probably his path here. But even with the striking, now I'm not seeing a whole lot of people bet Rick Glenn, but I am seeing a whole lot of people say Rick Glenn's striking is way better. And I wouldn't go as far to say way better. I actually think it's pretty close. Dennis Bermudez actually has some underrated striking. It's just that that dude loses all the time. So, I mean, it gets overlooked a little bit. But, I mean, Dennis Bermudez is the better athlete. He moves around better. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you went out there and outstruck Rick Glenn. But don't underestimate my boy Rick Glenn. I think Dennis should be favored here, but it shouldn't be this much. I think it should be a little bit closer. But, man, if my boy Rick Glenn goes and gets disrespected a little bit more, plus 250 range, I might have to take that 1 unit shot because Rick Glenn is a serious striker. I mean, he can put dudes away, and Dennis Bermudez has a tendency to get put away and lose fights. So I don't know. Rick Glenn could pull this one out of the hat, but I don't see it. I think Dennis Bermudez is the better athlete, and he's better everywhere. This is probably a fight he's going to win, but then again, he loses these fights, so it's a tough call. I mean, it's probably another huge pass unless that Glenn line gets a little bit better. For me, anyway, if you want to take the shot on Rick Glenn at plus 200, I'm not hating on that at all. I'm actually liking that play for sure, but I think there's better plays in the card for now. But once again, guys, if Rick Glenn gets up to plus 250, it's going to be hard to not take the shot there. But I'm going to go Dennis Bermudez. I think he slides by on the 29-28 split decision. Then moving on to the next fight, the main event of the evening, we got Junior Dos Santos minus 175 taking on Blagoy Ivanov plus 155. I'm really excited for this main event, man. And nobody's really talking about the main event. They're all saying the main event sucks. The card's good, but the main event isn't good. It's just the undercard is so stacked. I love this main event, man. A lot of you guys might know Junior Dos Santos is one of my favorite fighters of all time. I'm a huge fan of the guy. That run he went on to the title back in the day, one of my favorite runs in UFC history, where he was just smoking everyone, man. But thing is, I think it's pretty obvious by now that that was a heavily juiced Junior Dos Santos, and juiced he is not anymore, for sure. The guy has been seriously affected by USADA. The guy has been seriously affected by some of the knockouts he's taken. So, man, I actually think my boy Blagoy Ivanov is a live underdog here. And I took the 2-unit shot on Blagoy Ivanov at plus 158. That's the best line you can get on him right now. It was plus 158. I hit it, and then it went up to like plus 168, and now it's back to plus 158. But yeah, I got Blagoy here, man. I think he comes out here with the upset. I think the line is very off. I think Blagoy should be an ever so slight fave. So basically, Junior Dos Santos, it's mostly a USADA thing. So he comes out against Alistair Overeem, has no confidence, does nothing in that fight, gets caught, knocked out viciously second round. Fight after that, he bounces back against Big Ben Rothwell. But thing about Big Ben Rothwell is that's another USADA victim right there, guys. So he went out there and outstruck him for 5 rounds, didn't even finish him. I mean, I know he went out there and got the win, but the Junior Dos Santos of old goes out there and finishes a guy like Ben Rothwell. And then in his last fight against Stipe, once again, did absolutely nothing, had no confidence. He went out there and got smoked in the first round this time. So not only has Junior just been doing nothing in these fights, unless he's fighting another USADA victim in Ben Rothwell, that is, not only is he going out there doing nothing in these fights, he's taking life-changing knockouts. We just don't know where this guy's at this point. And sure, he might go out there and outstrike Blagoy Ivanov out there for 5 rounds, but I don't see it. I went on the tape. I watched Ivanov's fights. The guy has that pressure style that Stipe put on Junior Dos Santos. Blagoy Ivanov just needs to come in here with some confidence, pressure Junior, touch him up. And, if you don't go out there and knock out Junior Dos Santos in the first couple rounds, Blagoy Ivanov actually has a very high-level Sambo background. This guy beat Fedor Emelianenko in Sambo. The dude can wrestle for sure, and that's a nice little backup plan. So I like a dog shot on Blagoy Ivanov. I put 2 units on him at plus 158. I would advise y'all to do the same. I think he's absolutely live here. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the newcomer, Blagoy Ivanov. And back to the theme of winners. The guy's 16-1. You really do not see records like 16-1 in heavyweight MMA. And no, and people will say, oh, he's got a padded record. He hasn't beaten anyone good, blah, blah. He knocked out Sean Jordan in the first round. Oh, who's Sean Jordan? Sean Jordan beat Derek Lewis, the guy who just won the co-main event of UFC 226 twice. Blagoy Ivanov beat former UFC fighter Josh Copeland. I know Josh Copeland's a little bit of a joke, but yeah. Beat him, beat Kyle Alencar. Kyle Alencar knocked out Rochelle in the first round in World Series of Fighting. He's been in there with a couple of UFC guys. He submitted LeVar Johnson in the first round. Rico Rodriguez. I know that's an old-ass Rico Rodriguez. Fun fact, he actually fought Alir Latifi. Go watch Blagoy Ivanov versus Alir Latifi. It ended up being a no contest because those big, gigantic motherfuckers broke the entire ring. Go watch that. One of the weirdest things you'll ever see in MMA. But yeah, he took his first loss, which, I mean, that's good. If he was coming in here undefeated, I'd have in the back of my mind, oh, well, the dude's due for his first loss. But he took it against Alexander Volkov, a top 5 guy in the UFC right now. So I like Blagoy Ivanov, man. The dude's a proven winner, 16-1, and he probably comes out here and knocks out JDS or out wrestles him. Most likely knocks him out, though, because JDS does nothing and gets knocked out in his recent fights, unless he's fighting another USADA victim like Ben Rothwell. So, yeah, guys, 5 plays. Just going to run down through them one more time. So we got 3 units, Jody Escobar minus 114. We got 5 units, Alexander Volkanovski minus 157. 3.5 units, Alejandro Perez minus 175. 3 units on Miles Jury to win a 5.30. I got him plus 170, plus 110, or plus 210. And then 2 units, that's the smallest play of the night. 2 units on Blagoy Ivanov plus 158. It's just a 2 unit on Blagoy Ivanov because it is heavyweight MMA. He is making a debut, so, but still, he's gonna win that fight against Junior Dos Santos. So yeah, I appreciate you tuning in, guys. We're here. I don't want to say early. It's 1 in the afternoon, but it's my day off, so it's early for me. Cut me some slack. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching very much. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter. Thank you guys so much for 2,000 Twitter followers. That was a great birthday present. My birthday was great this past weekend, by the way. Appreciate all you guys that hit me up and wished me happy birthday. I was bombarded by messages and I loved it. So thank you guys. Like the video, takes 2 seconds. Comment below, tell me who you're betting on this card. But yeah, most of all, importantly, guys, just enjoy the fights this weekend.